People keep messaging me, George, what is going on in Thailand? There's sinkholes and earthquakes. Is Thailand safe? And I keep seeing videos about Thailand's tourism collapsing. What is actually going on in Thailand? Now, in the next few minutes, I'll share the truth about why Thailand's tourism is collapsing faster than ever before, but also why there's more to the story than you'll hear in sensational YouTube videos and headlines. From empty beaches to rising prices, the truth behind Thailand's tourism collapse is more complicated, more personal, but also more hopeful than we might think. So let's start with the data, the cold, hard numbers. Now, the number of visitors projected throughout 2025 is 33 million. This is down from the original projection of 41 million, with Thailand peaking back in 2019 at 40 mil. So the total number of people is declining. And we're seeing huge drops from very specific demographics. For example, the number of Chinese visitors from 2019 to 2025 has dropped from 11 million to 5 million. That's a 6 million person drop in 6 years. That's 1 million people a year from China not coming to Thailand anymore. What makes this even more stark is the fact that neighboring countries are seeing significant booms. Vietnam is up 25%, Laos is up 28%, Cambodia is up 16%, and Malaysia is up 20%. And not only is there less people coming, the revenue per person is down. What this means is the amount of money spent per tourist coming into Thailand is down 20 to 30%. So that now means Thailand is making less money for each tourist that comes here. So why are people choosing not to come to Thailand anymore? Well, there's a few different reasons. So let's look at those now. The first is cost. Thailand is really deemed to be not that much of a cheap destination anymore. You hear people talk about the good old days of Thailand when you could buy 40 baht beers, get 30 baht street food, and it was just the good old glory days of cheap paradise. But is it that anymore? Now, I recently spent a couple of days in Ho Chi Minh, lovely city, lovely little trip, and I can comfortably and confidently say that Ho Chi Minh and Vietnam in general is probably 40 to 50% cheaper than Thailand, particularly Bangkok. And whilst that might not seem like a lot, it adds up over time. And then you got things like these bullshit ATM fees that are now 250 baht just to get your money out. That hurts. And then you're looking at things like rising hotel prices and even food in higher end restaurants becoming comparative to Western countries. In fact, right now I'm just heading to Dubai, and the price of the hotel that I'm paying for there is pretty much the same or similar to what it might be in the Sukhumvit area in Bangkok. Then you've got the dreaded dual pricing. So this is where foreigners might be charged 2 to 5 times what locals might be charged for the exact same thing. And this might pertain to things like temple access or street food or even taxis. And speaking of taxis, another thing people are sick of is the scams. Now, one of the worst of those is the taxis. Now, the taxi drivers should charge you by the meter, but often you'll get in the taxi and they go, meter not working, meter not working. Meter? No meter. Why? How much? Now, the meter is working. All they're trying to do is charge you more money. Now, this has led to the rise in apps like Grab and Bolt and InDrive, but particularly around the Bangkok area now, you might be waiting 25 to 30 minutes for a Bolt, which I have done. Or when you go to places like Phuket, I swear there's like a minimum spend of Bolt like 200 baht or something like that, which is a little bit annoying if you're going down the road. Now, here's the thing. They are still crazy cheap, the taxis, when you compare it to the West. What I'd pay $50, $60 for, I'm gonna pay $5, $6 for in Bangkok or Thailand. But it's more the principle. That 200 baht trip down the road that you're paying, whilst it is still cheap comparatively to where you may be from, you're still paying 3 to 4x what you should be paying. So there is a point where it's down to principle, and it's about being simple, not a simpleton. Then we need to look at some things that are a little dark. There has been some relatively viral online stories, particularly around China, of rising crime and kidnapping. And there was a horrible story recently about a guy down in Pattaya who literally cut up somebody in their room. Now, of course, the way social media spreads information, as well as how people just generally share information between themselves, these stories about crime and kidnapping and death and murder, it creates a negative perception in the mind of people about Thailand. And that, of course, leads to less people wanting to come here because they feel less safe. Then you've got confusion around the law. It does seem like Thailand is continually changing the requirements when it comes to visas and what you can and can't do. And that uncertainty people find frustrating, but also scary because they don't necessarily want to break the rules. So with the yardstick always changing of what people can and can't do, many people are just opting to go to other countries where the rules are consistent and clear. For example, Thailand recently implemented a online check-in you need to do before you can enter the country. I recently did this. I've left out a little bit of information accidentally on the form. I had to get sent back to the queue, do a whole new form before they would let me in. And there was people just getting sent back and back and back because they hadn't filled in this form exactly correctly. And then you've also got the shifting demographics of the people that are actually coming to Thailand. For example, Thailand has seen an increase in the rise of Russian and Indian people coming to Thailand. And this could be a causative factor as to why the spend per tourist is down. For example, if more tourists are coming to Thailand from countries of a lower economic strength, they simply have less spending power. So the per person to the spend per tourist, it's just less. Now, this is not all doom and gloom, and there's actually things that are looking on the rise for Thailand. For example, the actual number of tourists from certain places of the world, like in Europe, is actually increasing. And you still can get bargains in Thailand. If you're willing to get off the tourist trail and off the beaten track a little bit, you can find ridiculously cheap accommodation, food, drinks, anything you want. Thailand is a big country and it has locals to serve. So there will always be bargains to be had. So if you're willing just to get out of the tourist hotspots, it can still be a really affordable option. And there's many people that would actually be happy about tourism being down in Thailand. For example, the locals where their income doesn't necessarily rely on foreign spending. Or even for expats, people who have relocated to Thailand that want a little bit more of an authentic experience, like me. I am part of the problem, but at the same time, it does feel a little bit jarring when you go somewhere and you're just surrounded by foreigners. Now, I love that everybody is just living their best life and I celebrate that and that is awesome, but at the same time, it can feel like it ruins the experience just a little bit. And there's the fact that potentially lower numbers of tourists might mean that the experience is a little bit better for the people who do actually come here. Now, what's next for Thailand? It does feel like Thailand is at a bit of a crossroads right now. Does it go down path A and chase premium luxury experience and charge prices to reflect that? And if it does that, it needs to provide that quality experience and service. Can you really be charging Tokyo prices if there are hookers standing on every street corner and cockroaches and rats fucking everywhere? Or B, does it chase the good old glory days of cheap paradise? I'd really love to know, have you felt this shift in Thailand's tourism and the landscape of Thailand yourself? Is this the end of the cheap paradise and golden days of Thailand, or is this the beginning of something new? Where do you see it going?